and off we go. Thanks for popping by. We're going to be talking about pitching again today. I really wanted to do this one because we did a lot of video work with the hitting one the other day, and I feel like looking at pitching mechanics, especially high level pitching mechanics, can help you a lot, because there's only so much you can learn from just going through dry run stuff and doing it at 50%. Watching guys throw at 100% and watching a lot of these big leaguers with a variety of motions, I think can be very helpful, because similar to hitting, there's certain checkpoints that they all hit, regardless of where you start and where you finish. There's checkpoints along the way, and there's a couple of really neat things about what the body does that I wanted to show you guys, and hopefully you guys can get a better understanding of why we're so hard on you about things like a strong front side and stuff like that. So it's going to be lots of screen sharing today. I'm going to be going through Instagram videos of two baseball accounts. One is Tread Athletics, run by Ben Brewster, and then the other is the Driveline Baseball Instagram account. Both of those, I think, are great social media follows if you guys have Instagram, because they pump out a lot of good content in terms of slow motion videos and things like that, which I highly recommend not only you watch, but then take video of yourselves and then compare the two, because there's a lot of ways you can generate lots more power on the mound than where we're at right now. So without further ado, let's hop into it. We'll start with Driveline here. Actually, we'll switch to Tread. Okay, so I'm gonna move this over. Perfect. Okay, so first one I'm gonna pull up here.
I'm just maximizing the screen and turning up the volume so you can hear.
First one we're gonna look at here. Okay. I love the side shot. You can get most of your mechanical views from the side. Okay, this guy is hitting 97, it looks like, so clearly a high power pitcher. Let's start, when you're looking at video, pick certain parts of the body, watch them the whole sequence through, and then move on to another part of the body. So for us, let's start ground up. I want you to check out just his, let's look at his back foot, so his right foot. Okay, as he goes through, that thing is solid and cemented into the ground almost the entire distance of that mechanic. Okay, a lot of guys we see at a younger age will sometimes pop up onto their toe, or they'll let that back knee fall down the mound too early, and the back side of their shoe, the outside of their shoe, will come off, and you don't get as much drive. Okay, you can see once he's about connected with the ground on the front side, then the back side, the back foot starts to come off the ground. Okay, and what I hope you guys recognize, if we look at back foot and even a little bit up towards his back knee, what sort of an angle and what that looks like in comparison to another movement that we talked about just a few days ago. Okay, back knee drives down the mound towards the ground. Okay, we're not spinning. Okay, we're not popping up. We're driving forward towards home plate. Let's look at the other foot now. Okay, he's a guy that probably would fly open a lot with his front hip, so he really exaggerates keeping that front toe closed and pointed towards the shortstop third base side. And look how far he gets. Okay, he's about halfway down the mound here, 3/4 of the way down the mound. Okay, we're almost going to connect with the ground here, and then he flies that front foot open. Okay, so when we say stay closed, that's what we mean. Stay closed with that lead leg. Okay, don't fly that guy open too early, because it's a really big source of power for you. Okay, if we watch now legs, okay, similar stuff. We close that front hip off. You can see he's leading with that left butt cheek. Okay, The foot now gets out in front, but we're not opening up our pelvis. Okay. And then we're into our power position here. Boom. Foot strike. Okay. At foot strike, our hips have opened. Okay. So the hips are ripping towards home plate, but compare them to what the shoulders are doing. Shoulders and chest are still facing third base. That's how we create that elastic band style reflex whip to help generate a lot more arm speed, and then arm speed translates into velocity. Okay, now watch the front leg here. Okay, as the chest starts to close towards home plate, let's watch that front leg. Solid, firm, and then there's that back, there's that knee locking out. Okay, the reason we lock that front side or firm up that front side is just like when we hit. Okay, if he were to hit the ground and leak that knee forward, okay, he would be losing energy that could have been better put into the baseball. Okay, looking into our upper half, front side is closed. Okay, he's pulling more down, elbow down to rib cage, not elbow off to first base. Okay, see that elbow down there pulling down into his front hip. Okay, eyes are on target, chest is high. All right, and then you can see just how much, when you throw baseballs for many, many years, you can see just how much your arm can lay back into that throwing position. All right. Good posture there. And you can see release point is more up here. Okay. Elbow is high above the shoulder. Okay. Head is still up. All right. We're extended on our back side. We're firm on our front side. Okay. And we're getting our chest out front. All right. Once he throws, then the back foot comes high. Okay. And then we can pick up. So that was one I liked off the start. Okay. We've got another one here with everyone's favorite former Blue Jay. Okay. Stroman. He's a really good example of a high athleticism pitcher. Okay. His balance is phenomenal. Okay. So we get a couple of angles here, but let's go through our checklist that we talked about. Okay. The one that you can see really well in this angle that you can't in the other video is that little movement right there. That little sit down with his into his hip. Okay. If I were to put a chair right up in behind him, he'd be sitting down into that bar stool. Okay. That's what we mean when we say load into your hip or sit into your hip when you're pitching. Okay. It's not his back knee poking forward. He's not sitting into his knee. He's sitting back into his hip. Okay. Again, very similar to what we ask you to do when you load in your swing. Sit into that back hip pocket. Okay. You can see now front foot's getting down the mound. Okay. But we're still, toe is pointed towards third base. Shoulders are closed off. Even the hips are closed off. Now the hips start to come, right? The hips have started to twist, but the shoulders stay back. Okay. Really cool example here of how you can see his back elbow, okay, out the far side of his body. All right. And then it's hidden completely. All right. Again, he's not really yanking himself off towards first base. He's pulling himself closed and down. And then he's finishing. You can see everything's finishing forwards towards home plate. Okay. There's our sit, that little sit. Okay. Look at that front side. All right. Little bit of a bend in the forearm. The glove is closed. Okay. And then the arm whips around and through. Okay. That's why when one of our only practices so far in the winter program, I like to teach that little elbow, just a little bit of an elbow hike. Because what that can do is catch your arm up. It can speed up your arm so you can get it on time and create this whip there. Okay. If he was to go straight arm out the back, his arm would drag and he would lose that whip. Okay, and then front leg, locked out, solid. Any energy he puts into that leg goes down and then comes back up into his body. It doesn't leak anywhere. All right. I think there's one more from this guy. There's an old picture. I think that's Nolan Ryan. Okay. This guy's got lots of great little tips and tricks for cleaning up things like arm action and that. Okay. Here's an example for you tall guys. Okay. He's more of a tall and fall. Right. If we look at that again, okay, see how he starts to kind of lean down the mound. All right. The only way you can do that, okay, and the only way you can get long like he is, okay, is if you have a really firm front side. And then you can see he bends that elbow, foot's planted into our power position, okay, and then everything rotates over top of that leg. Look at that leg, okay. He's a very tall and fall kind of guy, right? You might hear tall and fall versus drop and drive, all right? Generate power the best way that you can, okay? And that's where we experiment with two different actions.
Peach, can I point on something?
For sure.
So all the stuff that he's showing you guys, also notice, like, and I've talked to some of you guys about this too, is like that front foot, how it's landing on the there. I don't know if you already talked about it. I was a little late, but how that front foot is landing pretty flush on that downhill like spot right there, right? Some guys land on their tippy toes, and that's really, it's going to stop your momentum going forward. Absolutely. All the guys that Pete is showing, they're landing pretty flush on their foot.
Right there. Boom. Right? Flush. And it's, for most of them, it's firm. I don't want to use the word soft, but he's not stomping, because when we stomp, that's a lot of movement and a jarring motion, and that can throw off our release point. He's smooth and then firm into the ground, and always that toe pointed at target, maybe a bit closed. Target, batter's box, maybe a little bit more closed. Very, very few guys will be opened up towards first base, if any. Okay. After you've thrown it, some guys will end up rotating out. But yeah, that's a really good point from Jordy, is that front foot is crucial, making sure it lands in the same spot. If you have troubles with that, put a little X of tape on the ground, go through your dry run mechanics, and try and land in the same spot every time with your foot pointing the same direction. Okay. This is a good little drill that I've done with a couple of guys. Okay. Very similar to one that Jordy has, a figure eight. This is just more about trying to build some arm speed. And you can see that he's going through it at different speeds, a slow, medium fast, and then fast. Okay. And that elbow hike right there, right, to get his arm on time so that it can whip through. Okay. Throwing velocity is a lot about how much your arm can just whip and move. Then the last one here, really liked, where is he? Oh, shoot, where did he go now? That might have been it. It might have just been those three. Yeah, let's move on. I think it was over here. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is into drive line now. I love this angle. You don't often get angles like this when we're videoing, okay? But there's a couple of things I want to point out. Let's start with his glove hand, okay? For a lot of guys, one of the things we have to clean up is that glove hand. He's going to take that glove hand on an angle towards third base dugout. Okay, there. See where it goes? When he goes out that way, okay, that helps keep his front shoulder closed. All right. And then what you can also see from here is a good example of front hand, front foot. They're getting out and down the mound, but look where his body weight is. It's stacked on his back side. He's connected with the ground here with this back foot. Okay. Those two are exploring the space down the mound, but everything is still coiled and ready to produce power back in here, just like when you hit. Okay. That's why we don't stride swing. We teach guys to get the foot out and then drive through it. Okay. So here you can see like he's another long arm action kind of guy, right? Long there, long here, probably a bit down, but there's the little bit of the elbow. Okay. And then he really works hard with that glove side to close off to his chest and down. Okay. And again, everything, you can fit him in that little row of rubber mats there. There's nothing spinning out on the sides. He's driving forwards towards home plate. Okay.
Such a violent movement. Like we want to try to eliminate any extra movement that's not necessary for anyone that's trying to simplify their mechanics and try to throw consistent strikes.
That is a good point to make. So the asterisk that you should have when you're watching videos and things like that from velocity programs like Drivelines is that a lot of their training, it's training, right? It's drills and training to help increase their ceiling. Okay, so they're doing their drills and their training at max effort. So things do get a little bit out of control and wild because they're trying to generate so much power. When these guys go onto a mound in a game, okay, they're not putting in that same level of 110% effort. Okay, they dial back just a little bit, not a ton, but enough so that they can produce consistent results repeatedly. Okay. Let's move up. I liked this one here. So what they've done here is they've drawn lines so you can see the angle of a guy's shoulders and the angle of his hips, okay? The angle of his legs. Let's start from the top down. Matty McBride, I want you to watch this guy's shoulders, okay? Little bit of an angle there, okay? But then they level out before he even gets down to the foot. We're level there, and then we finish. Okay. Good job again. Lead leg plants. Okay. Lead leg plants and is strong, and then I work over top of it. A lot of guys will tend to rush. They think that they have to throw that ball as the foot lands, when in fact your foot lands and there's still a little bit of movement, right? The hips got to come, the shoulders got to come, and the arm has to whip in behind. That all happens after foot plant, hips, shoulders, hand. Okay, so don't be in a hurry to bring your backside forward too quickly. And another one here. I like this one from the front. Okay, there's our closed foot. There's our stacked back half. Okay, he's a little bit of a shorter arm action guy. We're bent and we're bent. Okay, look at the eyes. Eyes are still picking up target. Okay, the whole time through your mechanics, you need to keep your eyes on your target. All right, you can see that elbow out the back. So we've got really good separation. Hips are starting to turn, but the shoulders are dragging behind. Okay, good bend in that elbow. And then I pull down, okay, not out to the side. I pull down with that front side so I can open up my chest, and then the arm will whip through. Okay.
Who is that, Bauer?
I don't know. I think it's just one of their programming guys. They do have Bauer here. These guys do a lot of work with like markers and things like that.
Yeah.
To see limb angles and stuff throughout the whole motion. Okay. This is a good one here. Again from the side. Leading with that hip right there. Leads with the hip. Then the foot drives down quickly and the hands break hard. Okay. Foot lands. All right. There's our power position. Okay. We've driven off the back. We've driven off the rubber. We're closing that front side down. The hips are turned, but the shoulders are staying back. Okay. And then when we get chest is out front. Okay. Chest is out front, but up. All right. And the arm lays back. And then the foot comes high. And that's a good example. You can catch it right at the end. Okay. He finishes high. All right. But the ball's gone. All right. So what you do well after ball release, that's up to you. Okay.
And he looks like a kind of a short. He looks like kind of a shorter guy, but he does such a good job of getting really out there as far as extension.
Yeah. Big time.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And for anybody thinking you can throw bullpens topless, think again.
Yeah. The only reason he doesn't have a shirt on is because he's wearing those. He's wearing that mocap stuff. They're tracking. They're tracking his limb positions. There is one more. There it is. I loved this one. Okay. We'll finish with this one. All right. So the rotational hinge, he's going to throw a lot of complex terms at you. I'm going to do my best to kind of simplify them. But the big thing here, okay, is that he's sitting back into that back hip. Okay. Just like we sit back into that back hip when we go to hit. Okay. Now he's talking about how a lot of his weight is still on the back foot. Okay. And it's anchored into the ground, right? We're maintaining that connection. We're not popping up onto our toes or anything like that. Okay. The head stays back. We're not leading forward. You can see that the foot and the hand trace similar paths. They both start out towards third base side and closed, and then they pull towards home plate. Okay, there's another good example, right? He's saying pelvis stays stacked and relatively linear. Okay, we're not tilted one way or another too aggressively. Okay, closing that front side, like you can see, man, his chest, that Angels logo, that's like facing the shortstop still. Eyes on target the whole time. Okay. Okay, and then it's a bit of a rotation as he pushes. Okay. One thing that I want to draw your attention to right here, okay, we haven't touched on it yet, okay, and that's hand position when we get into this power position here. Okay, look at his wrist. That's what I like to call a neutral, okay, a neutral wrist or a firm wrist. He's not cocked back one way or another. Okay, for a lot of guys, when you get into that position there, you should be able to just drop the ball and it should fall straight down. Okay. We don't want to have our hand or our wrist underneath that ball or be the other way. Okay. Strong and firm. Just like if you were to go grab a dumbbell and do a chest press or a shoulder press. Okay. Our wrist is in line. We're not here or here. Okay. So hips are starting to rotate here now. That front knee is stabilizing. Okay. We've gone to a really long but strong position with our lower half. And now here come the shoulders. Okay, leading with that chest, leading forward, but keeping it high. Eyes up. Look at that glove. Okay, look at that glove side. Again, it's staying out and in front of us or down into our hip. Okay, we're not yanking it off to the side. When Coach Phil comes and yells at you and says, quit flying open, he's usually talking about that glove hand pulling the elbow off to the front side. Okay. And there you can see, right? Elbow is in line with the ear, right? Or stays behind the ear. We're not driving the elbow forward out in front of our body. Okay. That lets us rotate through our shoulder the best. Ball release occurs with the elbow extended. Okay. That's something that I actually hadn't really realized until recently, was that it's not so much of this motion here, but it's a spiral into elbow extension. Okay. And then the head, torso, and lower half all stay quiet at release.
It's a nice one. His head stays nice and level.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can see that good solid, the lead knee pulled into extension, the back knee. Okay. And he's finished. Like, look at that chest. Okay. Down and out front over top. And again, ball is away. Now he can do whatever his body wants to do. Like you said.
Crazy.
Right?
Who is that? Did you say?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh.
Garrett Richards, upper 90s.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let's see. Is this Roger? Slow
Yeah.
motion. I'd love to get one. Let me quickly find one
There's nothing
in
on
real time here.
it. Back in my day.
Okay. Basically, so what I like here, and something that I wanted to touch on, is when do you bring your effort and your intent? Okay. He does a really good job of it. Slow, slow, slow. As that foot comes down the mound, he's still slow, slow, slow. And then boom. Okay. Then he brings that intent and that energy after he's had a chance to get his body in rhythm, in sequence, and down the mound. Okay. If we launch out of that back position too early, there's too much that needs to get on time too fast. Okay. Whenever you watch big league pitchers, okay, it's slow, 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 and then they deliver. Okay, let's see if we can find a big leaguer in real time for once I don't want a slow motion. Yeah, this guy's good. Okay. Ooh. Ooh, what's going on my computer? Okay, so slow, 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 and then drives down. His foot gets down the mound, down the mound, down the mound, and then it goes. Okay. All righty. Jordy, do you have anything else?
No, it's good. I like how they break it down on that with that guy's page. Looks all good.
Yep.
And it goes to show like everybody's different, right? Everybody has different ways of trying to get that ball to the plate consistently, and whether it's size, height, all that stuff, right? So you just got to find your kind of way to figure it out and what works for your body.
Yep. You guys have any questions? Anything
Nope.
about cues you've heard in the past? Nothing? All righty. Well, we'll finish it up. Thanks for hopping on. Hopefully we get some good news later this week from the government. All right. Take care, guys.
Bye, boys.
Thanks, Peach.